Hey guys,
Hey.
welcome back to yet another awesome episode of Adulting Conversation with the Jessies. And I am Caleb Jesse,
I'm Katinga Jesse.
and today we're going to be having a conversation around relationship graphs.
Da-da-da-da.
How is that like? How does it start? And this graph, how exactly does it look like in the spectrum of relationships between a man and a woman?
Um, so it's very interesting that the dynamics that shape adult relationships are very dynamic in and of themselves. So this particular episode will be talking about a relationship graph in terms of how the relationship develops over time. What are some of the major phases of a relationship? And how then do our relational approaches, if you remember, we've been talking about capstone and cornerstone relationships. So, regardless of the type of relationship we're in or the type of relator we are,
Mm-hmm.
um, generally relationships have a type of, it's not a cycle, but this is a progression as to how it develops. And so we're looking forward to one, talking about these dynamics, and also, of course, hopefully you'll be able to reflect on your own dynamic, previous relationships, current relationships, relationships you hope to get into, and just to see, at what point, many people will start out the relationship and then at a point it ends. Why? Apart from the lack of compatibility, what other things make relationships turn sour, and what can be done about that? So we're just gonna kind of touch on it briefly, like kind of like on the surface, and we're hoping that as we go through this and you're listening, then you have your questions and your comments, and you can put that in the comment section, uh, and then we can now look into how we can kind of hash this out in depth, and as your needs are expressed
Yeah.
in the comments.
Mm-hmm. So, graph.
Graphs. Do you
Graphs.
remember graphs in math?
Wow. I know about an axis.
X-axis and
Oh.
y-axis. Anywho, once we put all these variables into the equation called relationship,
Yeah.
uh, one person comes in with their own dynamic, their personality, their character, their history as
Mm-hmm.
an individual, their history in relationships, their world perspectives, their perspective on relationship.
Yeah.
They come in cornerstoning, capstoning, or stoned. um, and then this other person comes with the same thing. So those are the variables that now contribute to this relational graph.
Mm.
Um, so in general, relationships have that honeymoon phase.
Mm.
Whether it's a long-term relationship, whether ends up being a short-term thing, most relationships start on a happy zone, in a happy place. And you know you're hearing birds tweeting, you're smelling roses, the sun is shining just that much brighter, the air is just that much more cleaner, and life is just good. You think about this person, and all these amazing, endorphins and dopamine is released in your system, and you just have
And
these
you're
feel
feeling
good,
dope about it.
and you feel dope about it, and you're feeling dope about your dude, and you're feeling dope about your dame, and you're generally just happy with this person. And
Yeah.
this phase can last for quite some time, anywhere between days and weeks to even months. And it's a good phase. It's a time when people are best foot forward. They have their best foot forward. Uh, Everybody's presenting the best version of themselves they can think of in that point. At that point, you know
It's
what I
like a
mean.
smell of a new car or the unboxing of
Oh
a
my, of
brand
a new
new
product.
tech
Yes.
product. But yeah, in relationships, that's what happens. You have, I mean, it's fantastic. It's a very, very delightful feeling to have. However, like all good movies, the phase, the excitement phase, always has a line drawn, right? And that line is where now everybody starts questioning themselves and the relationship. Why aren't I feeling like I'm re-unboxing a brand new card? There's something missing. There's a missing link.
That at that point actually happens around 6 months into a thing, when you can no longer keep up appearances, especially if you had gone that extra mile. You can no longer keep it up. That's the point when you start to negotiate. Well, this person, okay, fine, we've had a great start, but if this person knew the real me, will they still want me? Will I still be desirable? Will they still accept me as I am? And we're talking about dating. We haven't even gone into the long term situation. Okay. So if you're in like a cornerstone type of relationship, you've probably already started probably now getting into now talking about the major and important issues for you as you look ahead in the relationship.
Yeah.
So at that point, now critical thinking gets in, all the emotions kind of take a back seat, and they've had their run, so now they're resting. So now the reality starts to check in, critical thinking starts checking in. You start thinking with your brain and not your not your heart. And you start asking, by the way, what's this person really made of? Then you start asking important questions. uh, that's the day that's the day the dude has a really long day, and then you finally get a whiff of what his sweat actually smells like. That is the day when that girl, she left the house in a huff. She probably managed to do her hair and her makeup, probably not the way she
Probably.
usually does it.
Yeah.
And it's those small things that begin to awaken you to the fact that this is another human being you're dealing with. But because, like Jesse said, you're wondering that nice feeling. Where is that nice feeling? You know what I mean? And so you begin to see the reality of this person in contrast to what you imagined them to be. So that's the crazy thing about the honeymoon phase, is that you get into the relationship with all your hopes and dreams for relationship, and because it's usually starts out quite well, you hope that that will be sustained. There's a part of you that's feeling like, yeah, this is definitely the thing, this is sustainable, this is my hopes and dreams coming to fruition. But then the reality of the human being behind
Mm.
the idea, behind the concept of partner or boyfriend or husband, the entity behind that title begins to manifest. And then you start to question, did I make the right decision?
And just a thought I had
Mhm.
is that, you know, having to live with someone you haven't grown up with is different
Mm,
than having to live with someone you have grown up with. Take siblings, for example.
mm,
You know their patterns. So
yeah,
mentally,
yeah.
you've adjusted to it.
Hmm.
But here comes
A new learning
a
curve.
new learning curve
Hmm.
that had a certain structure to it and was very disciplined in a sense. But now you guys are getting comfortable, right? And the
Yeah.
more comfortable you're getting, the more you now ease in, because there's a tension bit whereby you have to you guys are like just living in the tense moment. Okay, should I do this, should I do that? How comfortable can you get? But now when you've been in it for like 1.5 years, and now certain things are starting to develop,
Or even sooner than that.
or sooner than that. I mean, people have people are different, so
Mm.
it develops sooner, and then you start questioning yourself. Is it wrong just to say, okay, I don't like this, and is it possible to adjust, or do you think this person will take it
Yes, so whether they'll take it
will
to
take it
heart.
to heart,
Yes.
or they will take it wrongly, depending on how you
Mm.
put it?
Mm-hmm.
And
You may get
considering,
offended.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Mm.
you're now in the stage whereby you're living together. I don't know how quickly people move in together. I don't know. Depends. 6 to 1 year. But if it's a long-term relationship, like after 1 year, because there's that preparation stage and all these things, depends on who is going to live with who. So that, other than that dynamic, usually about 1.5 years, and then you start living together. So between that time, How do you start saying, yo, I don't like this? Eh, sijui kama unaweza badilika or something like that, like how do you best put it to your person without having to make them feel, one, like you've offended them, two, you've disrespected them, three, this is some, like it's a habit they've grown up with for a very long time, and then now you're just bringing it to their attention, and it becomes
An issue.
it becomes an issue. It actually becomes an issue, and that's where you start questioning the entire relationship out of that one situation.
It happens a lot, actually. That dynamic whereby when the reality of who this person is as a human being stands in stark contrast of who you imagine them to be, and now you have to really ask, do I really want to live? Can I live with this? You know what I mean? Can I really live with this habit or this pattern or this person's rhythm? People start bickering, people start arguing, people start fighting over small things. It's really, it was probably inconsequential before, but suddenly it matters because now we're living
really
together.
matters, yes.
You know, we're in the same space all the time. There are situations where someone has grown up, with someone always picking up after them, so they really never thought that picking up after themselves is an important thing. But that's what I guess now the dynamic of that person now has to kind of, because that's what being an adult is, isn't it? When you are responsible for your own self and not relying on others to take majority responsibility over your existence. So what does that mean? You have to be able to pick up after yourself, clean up after yourself. Heck, this is the age-old question. Can you cook for yourself? If food is a basic need, isn't cooking a basic skill? Because how are you going to eat? You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a good question. Some would probably just have takeout, just buy food and come and eat in the house.
That's true.
And that skill has never been developed.
And that's legitimate. I mean, it's actually a genuine thing. And so what happens, I mean, and this is the purpose, I guess, this is the purpose of life skills. It has to be, you need the skills to survive. If money is tight, can you adapt and change to that situation? But those are some of the dynamics that now come up. There's this person, how they've grown up, how they've lived, and then there's you, how you've grown up, how you've lived, and then both your dynamics come into the same living space, and that now creates a different type of interaction in the house, whereby you get upset at this guy. I mean, there's some people who generally have sweaty feet and smelly feet, and so of course smelly feet are offensive, and the person probably knows this is a problem, but they've never known how to fix it, to be honest. Or maybe they've tried some things and they haven't worked. And so at that point, this girl gets so pissed off at this dude's smelly feet and says, I cannot live like this. I cannot live like this. And that becomes a point of constant conflict and poking at him and kind of beating him down because of his smelly feet. And this is the place now where we're talking about, after the honeymoon phase comes another phase. We're going to call it the conflict phase, honestly. People will bicker and fight and nitpick, and it's just small things that are constantly irritating each other. I mean, we're just irritating, we're grating on each other's last nerves. And at that point, two things can happen. One, a relationship can go sour and it can get very bad. It can get abusive, it can get manipulative, especially if it didn't start like that. Okay, there's some people who are already like that, like from the get-go. And if you're in like a relationship like that, you feel it. There's a red flag, there's something inside of you going like, there's something off, this shouldn't happen.
Do not fight what you are saying no to.
So that's the thing, is that when a relationship started out good and then suddenly it's going sour and you don't know what's going on, the boundaries of respect can easily get eroded and destroyed, whereby you don't fight fair, whereby I call my partner names, I abuse him, his job, his family, his friends, I even pick on his income. It's too much. It's not enough. Well, nobody has ever complained from too much income, but
Yeah,
it's
no
not
one is.
enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or I need to get my hair did. You never do these things for me.
yeah.
You used to buy me flowers. Now you don't. I mean, for like, he probably bought you flowers probably 5 times before you moved in, and now
Mm,
it's like 5 years into living together is when you're remembering those 5 times and making it seem like that is what is holding the
yeah.
entire relationship together,
Mm,
him buying you flowers. Acts of kindness and generosity and gestures of affection, I think, do not always remain consistent
yeah.
sometimes. I feel that in my experience, they change over time. So, on one hand, maybe when we were in the dating phase and getting to know each other phase, I probably used to, you know, make you lunch, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. And then now we're living together. So I'm cooking at home. So I'm not
Mm,
making you lunch per se. You know what I mean? You can just like pack dinner leftovers and take that.
mm,
And then, my partner starts going like, man, you used to make me lunch, you used to pack me snacks. Now you don't do it. But the home dynamic has also changed. Like in our case, we have children. So the my personal time limitations and my personal time dynamic changes in that I don't always find the time to make a packed lunch. You know what I mean? But how about if I do maybe like a special breakfast over the weekend,
mm,
something to just kind of keep that narrative going that I still care about you. This is my way of showing that I care. I mean, when I'm a person personally, I cook for people that I love. That's one of the ways I express my affection. Um, and so what if I don't do it every day, but maybe I just do it once in a while?
mm,
That once in a while ought to be recognized that this person is still thinking about you. This person is still, you're still their person,
mm,
you still matter to them. They still remember these things. So even if it's not happening as frequently, it shouldn't be a point of this whole relationship is ending because you stopped buying me flowers. You know what I mean? If he has smelly feet, sit down and have an honest conversation. Okay, what have you actually tried?
mm.
Let's it's a
Or
very
has he or she even noticed that?
because some people actually haven't.
Yeah.
For them, that's
That's
a
self-awareness.
norm.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's a
Like it's
norm. Like they don't think that
they've
it's an
grown up with
issue.
it, so it's never been. It
Yeah,
hasn't been
an
an
issue
issue until someone with a sensitive nose
points it. Yeah.
points it out.
And so in that point, you can bicker and fuss and fight about it and make him feel bad about his smelly feet. But
There's a
what
way
if,
to bring it up that sounds that is genuinely coming from a point of concern, and
yes,
also in the living space that you guys are in, you don't want to presume on people that they know.
mm,
It's just to ask the right questions,
mm-hmm,
because again you can't, that assumption,
mm,
the idea of having to assume that this person knows is actually a lie.
yeah,
It's like, perfect example is like dealing with children.
mm,
Children, you have to constantly tell them this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do,
mm-hmm,
be aware of this.
mm-hmm,
But now as an adult, it is, are you aware of this?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because when you make them aware, it's like, oh, by the way, this is something that has been here. Immediately there's you see change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But some can't take it offensively depending on how it is brought to their attention.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
And that's where the boundaries of respect during in conflict resolution come in very handy, because if you care for somebody genuinely, then that ought to come with respect.
Yeah.
It means that I shouldn't do the thing of calling you names or demeaning you,
Yeah.
just slashing at your dignity. I mean, it's really unnecessary. So, like Jesse says, are you aware that your feet
Mm,
smell? Yes or no? Someone, it was no. Someone else, yes.
yes.
Okay. Have
So
you
what's the
tried?
next step?
What have you tried
You know.
to solve this? I've tried 1 2 3 4 5,
Mm,
and you could have a solution that they've
yeah.
never
They've
tried.
never thought about.
You know, they don't assume that they know or that they've tried or that just do something about it. You're like, let's sit and have a discussion,
Mm, mm,
because that's where two are better than one comes in handy. how someone has been raised and the solutions that they have for their life are different from how you've been raised and the solutions you have for your life. So together, if you bring your combined solutions together, you actually make each other better.
Yeah.
So this was the issue with the smelly feet. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And sometimes it's a medical thing. By the way, people, some of these things are medical conditions. So say, why don't we just book a consult with a doctor? Let's sit together in that consultation room, because you see, if your partner is going to support you toward a thing, they need to be present. I remember some years back, Jesse had a crazy, crazy, crazy accident, and we had to go, see the doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, and I had to sit there because I'm going to be the one who's caring for this person in the in that time that they are not as mobile as they were before. And sitting and listening and taking notes helped me be a better caregiver in the time that he needed my support. Then there's another time, I had to undergo a medical procedure. And so there's that recovery window. So for Jesse to be there and listen to what the doctor is saying, what is the feedback? What are they saying? What do we need to do? That helps him be a better caregiver to me in my season of recovery. And so ideally, when things are not going well, understanding, come into the space with understanding, come with a mind to, I want to understand this so that I can resolve this, because at the end of the day, see, we like each other and want to keep being in each other's lives. So you have to protect and preserve that aspect of the relationship that is neither you nor I, it is us.
Yeah.
So when conflict comes, how do we resolve? If we resolve disrespectfully, that quickly dissolves into abuse, and often, in fact, many divorces occur at that point. At that point, when the conflict is so much and there isn't enough resolution, and in the point of trying to resolve the conflict, it's just argument and disrespect. Like, we're talking over each other, we're not listening, we're trying to argue to win a case instead of presenting a perspective to be understood. And so, even in the most painful dynamics, in the most painful situations, there has to be that thing of, I like this person, I want this person in my life, and how I handle this could push them further away from me. Or even if they don't come closer, at least they stay, you know? And so that's the second phase. After the honeymoon, we were nice, nice, nice. And then reality
Everything
and
is just irking.
yeah. And then the arc stage and the conflict stage where everything is just irritating. And then if we do this conflict resolution with respect, what happens is a point comes and we get tired of arguing. We're not leaving, we're just tired of arguing. So what's the solution? And that is when we get into a new phase of interacting. Finally, after the anger and the frustration and the emotions are spent, we are calm enough to say, okay, fine, what's your perspective then? You know, we've duked it out, we've realized we spar very well and we are equal matches, and it's like, irresistible force meets immovable object. And now we're just there in this point of force against force, nobody's budging, and then you drop your guard down and your defenses calm down, because you've used all your arsenal. So it's not like you have weapons to unleash, or you've used the arsenal, the secret stash, the one that you conjured up from a different realm. And now it's like that calm after the storm. And at that point, new questions start being asked. What is the real issue? So when you ask what the real issue is, a new dynamic checks in, whereby you get a moment to reflect on yourself, where you were when you began the relationship, what your expectations were, and which ones have been met, which ones haven't been met. Where is the disgruntlement coming from? And at that point, you're also more willing to listen to the other person. So what's bugging you? You know what I mean? This is where we started. this is where we said we're heading, but somehow we are over here in this place that we didn't anticipate. So now you begin to now hash out the real issues, not the emotions that the issues brought, but the actual issue. The actual issue is probably not necessarily the smelly feet. It's that day I had a bad day, and then, you didn't ask
This
how my
thing,
day
yes,
was, and then you came in and you probably had a heck, you know what I mean? So it's that thing of, I realized that in that moment, I like it when at the end of the day you ask me how my day was.
mm,
I need to debrief, you know, or someone comes in and says, you know what, I like it since you are home before me, or, maybe we have help or whatever. I like to find dinner either ready or already underway. Like, I like to walk
yeah,
into the smell of this food in this home. It's comforting. It's like a welcome home feel for me,
yeah,
I like, you know I like this. I'd like you to keep bringing me flowers. Just put that at the back of my mind. I really like flowers, so keep bringing me flowers. Or, I really like the breakfast thing. Please just be making me the breakfast thing. It's the smallest things.
when you can, I think
Of course.
underlining when you can,
Yeah, make
because
time to do this. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Bring it to the fore and say these things matter to me, because they make me feel appreciated. You know what I mean? You get back into discussing, what is my love language really? You know
yeah,
what I mean? Is it words of affirmation? Is it acts of kindness? What is it? What are the things that your person could do to make you feel loved and accepted and wanted and
yes,
appreciated? And then those are the things that you deal with. And then after that, you start dealing with the issues. Okay, fine. What happens when we find ourselves in such a situation? How do we handle future conflict? You know what
yeah,
I mean? If the fight had to do with money, is okay, how can we now sit and have that hard conversation about money? How can we do better on our money, our expenditure, our budgeting, and whatever? um, how can we work together to make our future? And at that point, when that conversation happens, and it basically brings an end to conflict, in terms of, it's not that you won't disagree in the future, but you go through that a lot faster, because there's a new parameter, there's a new dynamic. And when things change, because again, we're still growing, we're still changing, we're learning, we're self-developing, and all these things. So even as those changes in life come,
yeah,
when that happens, it's also to say, hey, by the way, I was learning this and the other. And you begin to have conversations about how each of you is growing and learning more openly, more honestly. And what ends up happening is that you get to know your person
yeah,
directly through them,
yeah,
because you're listening to them more. You're
more,
not listening to what the friends and the family and the people around you are saying how this relationship ought to be. You're not paying heed to what social media is saying you should or should not
mm,
do.
mm,
We decided we're not going to have children, and that's a decision we're going to stick by. You and me, team, well, in our case, it's Team Jesse, right? This is what we have decided for our family. And this is what's going to work, because this is what's going to help our relationship reach the place that we'd like it to reach. This is what's going to help us build our life in the way that we want it built. Are children involved? Maybe, maybe not. Are careers involved? Maybe, maybe not. Whatever your dynamic, at
mm,
that point, you start to set the structure for your own relationship and how are we going to move forward. And at that point, all the other voices just get knocked out. And
yeah,
so you'll find people who, someone will come and tell you something about your partner, and they just look at you like,
yeah, like
hmm.
that ain't that they are,
Yeah,
you
you
know what
don't
I'm
even need
saying?
to respond. You just look at them
Yes,
just running their mouth,
yeah.
just giving you their opinion, and you're just like, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, you're free
Or
to
maybe they're talking about a version of them that they were,
also.
because you're living with them. They don't know.
They don't know that you
They
know
don't know that
all
you
these
know.
things.
They're like, bro, you tripping.
Yeah, and I think, and that's when the outside voices get silenced. That's when the relationship becomes peaceful, and that's when it actually starts making headway. That's when the real partnership begins, the real building begins. And I think in many, many ways we get distracted by the stages of relationship. We have to date, and then we get engaged, and then we get married, and then we have children, and then we buy land, and then we invest in this. Like, there's such a progression that especially in our country,
Mm,
this is kind of like the structure, the
yeah,
flow,
the
this is the process.
procedure.
Yeah. And so when someone is not doing it that way, they seem like an anomaly. They're always being questions. Everybody's all up in their grill, asking them so many questions, trying to be curious, trying to be nosy, trying to mind other people's business instead of their own.
Yeah.
And
And like also I said in another episode that when you are starting off, it was just both of you.
mm,
When as you're continuing, it'll only be both of you. I mean, the plus side of having friends and creating a community within that sphere, the underlining factor is that when you all go home, you're going home to one place.
mm,
And at the end of the day, it's just to have a very strong filter
mm,
so that you filter out things which are not helpful in the relationship, because you also want to cherish the relationship for as long as it's in existence.
mm,
For as long as you two are existing, that relationship exists.
mm,
And because that is the case, your filter has to be on another level. And now, especially when you're hitting the 1 year, now 2 years, three,
mm.
that's where now people who are more experienced in the relationship and it was never successful, they feel like they need to advise you on certain things. Like, you also know who can advise you and who can't.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think that now, when you get to that space, you begin to treasure that relationship, and you naturally find great joy and fulfillment in being in that relationship. And those filters keep what needs to stay out, and
Mm,
keep what needs to stay in.
mm.
And I think over time I have found that, whereas before, oh my god, my honeymoon phase, oh my god, Jesse this, Jesse that, oh my god, he's so this, he's so that. I mean, he still is, honestly, he still is.
It's just there's another level to it. You can't stay the same.
My experience of the Jesse
Mm,
is that, I mean, he's still that person, but I don't feel the need to put it out there. It's my little treasure, it's my little haven, it's my little happy place, and it's my little paradise. So I want to protect that paradise from anything that would encroach it and
yeah.
ruin that ecosystem
Yeah.
that keeps it a paradise. What makes a paradise is the way the ecosystem is balanced out. If you start tampering with the ecosystem, the paradise over time stops being a paradise. And so for me, because this relationship is a haven, it's a little paradise for me, I tend to be quite protective about what I share, whom I share it with, and to what degree I share. Um, there are people who, of course, in order for a relationship to be healthy, there's those people that you need, who you can just go and vent when things are really tough. You leave the horrible talk out there, or the bad feelings out there, so that you come back in with a bit of a level
Yeah.
mind, a level head, so that you can now relate with your person in a loving and caring way.
Mm,
It is those dynamics that now over time you find, like people will get into fights, like we fought a major one, but even in that fight, it's like I'll still make dinner, and I'll still ask, are you ready to eat? Like I'll still do the caring thing, even if
mm,
I'm upset. And so you begin to find that balance of, how do you be upset with this person, still respecting them and not putting your entire life on hold until that thing is resolved. That is what children do. This is why we're talking about adulting conversation. Children, it is not going to move on until my problem is
yeah.
fixed,
Yeah.
and they're there and they throw the tantrum and they roll on the ground and everything until I get what I want right here, right now. We're not moving forward. But an adult, and in adulting conversations and in
Mm,
adulting relationships,
yeah.
you are able to continue on even when this is not fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're driving, and one of the wipers in on your on your car is not working very well,
Mm,
or maybe the heating and cooling system isn't working well. Then it rains, and then inside gets really, really foggy. I mean, the rest of the car is still functional. Tutatumia kitambaa, we wipe down the fog as it keeps fogging up. We will still
mm,
get to our destination, even though there are circumstances that are making us move a bit slower. So fights and arguments, disagreements might maybe cause us to move at a reduced speed
yeah.
on the highway of our relationship, but we don't stop moving. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And so these are the things, is like you're taking care of the other elements of the relationship even as you're moving forward,
yeah.
so that when this other thing is, when we finally get the wiper fixed,
Mm,
we don't have a broken down car, or a car that we put in park for 5 years because of one wiper. You know what I mean? And that's the dynamic about conflict resolution in a relationship. That once you get through the honeymoon phase and you get through the conflict phase, you start to build with respect, and so you're able to move through some of these negative dynamics with a lot more grace. You give each other more space. You give each other more grace. You give each other. You're more compassionate. You're more empathetic, and you're more supportive. And that dynamic is how people end up being married for like
A very long time.
40, 50, 60 years, and you still see the love and joy that they have in each other. Like, how did that happen? You know what I mean? It doesn't happen by magic. It actually happens by being present and being and actively participating in the processes, even when they're uncomfortable, even when they hurt. I mean, sometimes it's like, you know what, I just need a respite. I just need a moment. I just need a beat to just take this all in, but I'm not exiting. I just need a beat to catch my breath, and then we move forward. You know what I mean? And sometimes that understanding is necessary.
And give them room. Give them room to do that.
Yes.
There's you're giving them, you understand, but you're not giving room. So you have to have both subconscious and conscious awareness to know how to deal with some of these situations, because there's no one size fits all.
True.
But there's also a level to which you can, you know, this person of yours very well to understand when they say they just need time, you know. It's time to recoup, time to, you know, and to hide your feelings,
Gather their
to
wits.
gather their thoughts, you know, and their wits. And that's how things continue to develop in the right direction.
So that is the relational graph. We hope that you picked up a few things here and there. If there's anything that has caught your interest that you feel like you'd like us to explore further, do share that with us. And we are also looking forward to hearing any other discussions you'd be interested in hearing on this adulting conversations with the Jessies. We've been your hosts, Tunge.
And Jesse, and just remember, children are the most kind-hearted human beings you will ever meet. And so is to just adopt that kind of care and love into an adult relationship, because that it makes the relationship that much better, that much soothing, and it gives it meaning, and that's where you find that, you know, things really tend to blossom. Yeah, so let's catch you on the next one.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
Bye.
Peace.